The NFL Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Edge Boost. Edge Boost enables you to double your bet with no interest. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/edge to get started today.
I'm just about that action, boss.
You have to be kidding me. That is impossible.
I'm raising the ante. Anybody wants any deal?
Jordan Davis, dog. Jalen Hurts, dog. AJ Brown, dog. How many people want to eat a W today?
It has been a hot minute, as you can tell. It's an NFL Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. A full house. I was away from the controls for a week, and it just feels like a million years. So back with another episode. This week, of course, it will be our quarterback power rankings. Full house today. Justin Mark over there sneezing because he's working on his garden right now. I'm sure allergies are kicking your ass at this point. And, of course, Ryan McIntyre.
Very much.
Here, very much. I don't know. Hats off to you guys. I could not do that because my allergies would keep me. I go outside for 10 minutes and I come back looking like a swollen mess of just snot and not good. But gentlemen, we're here to talk quarterbacks again. One of our off-season series of episodes. Can't wait to chop it up. I think we all know Brock Purdy's first on this list, so we could probably do away with that. But yeah, we'll talk about that. And then we'll talk about some of the betting aspects of what this actually does for us and some of the lines based on the rankings. So guys, this is an exciting time. We're still getting closer, but this is the time for us to kind of speculate on where our money's going for this off season.
Yes, it is. And JMark is allowed back on the show because he can't rank the Chicago Bears number one in our power ranking. So no team power rankings today. So we let JMark back on the show. Maybe he'll rank Justin Fields number one this time, though.
Yeah, I'm not that crazy, but he may be on my list. Yeah, my allergies are going nuts. So if I sound a little stuffy, that's why. The pollen count is very high. But real quick, I wanted to get Ryan's take on this. Speaking of not quarterbacks, but guys that get after the quarterbacks, my phone just pinged up. The Washington Commanders are open to listening to trade offers for star pass rusher Chase Young, according to Albert Breer. You think they're going to move him?
Maybe at the deadline. But honestly, I think in the end they're going to stick with him and make a decision after the season whether they want to bring him back for the fifth year. But then a lot of it has to do with the transition of ownership too. Like that's kind of been Ron's cop out where we got to check with new ownership, but it's not really the current ownership. It's a mess. I mean, I thought they should have moved him at the draft if they were going to. I think, but I think also you get a couple teams that are at that 4-3, 4-4, maybe a fool's gold team that think that they're in the hunt. That haven't been in a playoff hunt in forever, and they'll overpay. So maybe they can move them to somebody. Maybe the Skins are a buyer at the deadline. Who knows?
Yeah, no, and I think getting him on the field, showing that he's healthy, and wait till he makes some of those big plays that he's known to make, then trade him. I kind of like that approach as well.
But
yeah, because his value's at an all-time low right now. I mean, he's got 1.5 sacks in the last 2 years.
Right.
I was going to say, but honestly, are the Commanders, do we want anybody from that team? I'm just
hey,
just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Hey, you wait and see. Our coach knows that we're not eliminated yet.
I would never turn down another fantastic defender. That's you can never have too many edge rushers. You can never have too many, good corners. That's as much as we love the offense and as much as our episode is about the offense this time, there's always so much value on the defense that fantasy football players never pay attention to, because unless you're IDP, you just sort of gloss over the fact that a good, strong defense is sometimes more valuable than a good offense.
No doubt,
yep.
Rod.
So, all right, as we said, we will be talking about quarterbacks for our top 10 power rankings, just the 10 top ones. And honestly, guys, after the first 5, it kind of got a little bit hard for me. I thought that this was, man, that's easy. 10 top quarterbacks. I won't even have to think about it. But after 5, I was like, wait a second. If I put this person, does that mean I can't put it? And so it's been crazy.
Yeah. Well, and it's hard to judge too, because is one guy a one-hit wonder? I mean, he may be coming off an incredible year. We'll take like a Jalen Hurts, for example. Is that a one-hit wonder, or is this going to be a continued trend? For a guy like me, I hope it's a one-hit wonder. So maybe I'm trying to talk it into existence. But yeah, no, I think this is such a this topic triggers a lot of people because they think that their quarterback's getting disrespected. You got the Tua crowd; they always have a chip on their shoulder. You got the Dak Prescott crowd, or where's Captain Kirk gonna land in these rankings? So yeah, this is always an entertaining topic.
Yeah, if you could see my notes, hopefully I can read my actual top 10. 1 through 5 was no problem, but 6 through 10, there's so much chicken scratch and arrows pointing like, I want to swap these guys, cross that guy out of there. So hopefully I can make it through it and give you guys my true list here.
Justin, the beautiful mind of top 10 rankings in this. All right, we got to step away. When we come back, we will start digging in to our top 10 power rankings for the quarterback position. But first, let's tell you about Edge Boost. This episode is supported by Edge Boost. Edge Boost is the world's first bet now, pay later Visa card. With Edge, you get currently offered right now a $2,500 in betting advances, which you can be extremely valuable tool. It really can. Obviously, we're going to be talking about some futures here in this episode, so you can use that extra $2,500 in Boost to start fronting your bets for your futures and not even come out of your bankroll right this second. Plus, you can double down on your favorite bet that you like or even use to create an awesome middle or even a hedge. Edge Boost isn't some sleazy loan shark. No, sir. They charge 0% interest. I don't know if you know any other way that you can access more money to place your favorite bets without paying any interest. If you do, tell me. I guarantee you probably can't do it. Right now, Edge Boost can also be a part of a responsible gambling plan, as you can set up daily, weekly, monthly limits across all your betting accounts in just one place. Help support SGPN and grow your bankroll by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/edge to sign up. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/edge. Must be 21 years or older to use. Problem gambling? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. And let's face it, if you listen to this show, then you definitely cannot pass up $2,500 for free, especially when there's so many good prop bets for these quarterbacks to place your bets on. Am I right or am I right?
You
are
right.
correct, sir.
As usual.
I love it. All right, we did a little squabbling before we even got on. Do we want to do 10-1? Do we want to do 1-10? I feel like the first 5, like we said, set themselves. So we might want to just talk about the first 5 real quick because there might be very little delineation between all of ours. So maybe if we just push out the top 5 of each of ours and then we'll talk about maybe where there's differences. I think that might be more entertaining than if we go 10-1 because I think everybody knows who number 1 is. There's no suspense in who number 1 is, right?
Yeah, Taylor Heineke, right?
No. Purdy.
Purdy? Justin Fields?
Jimmy G.
Jimmy G. Oh, he may not even. I mean, that physical thing may get him in the backside too. So who knows about him?
Yeah,
no doubt. I think 1 through 3. I mean, if you don't have the same 3 guys, I don't know what level you're ranking these guys off of, because I think the top 3, Mahomes, Allen, and Burrow, in whatever order. Well, Mahomes is number 1, and then you could flip a coin with Burrow and Allen based off of what your criteria is. Is that the same 3 you guys have for 1 through 3?
What do you got, Justin? I was going to say on 3. Let's say who number 1 is, but obviously we already.
Yeah,
adding some pressure, saying if you're not these 3, you don't know what you're doing. No,
you're canceled.
I actually have Joe Burrow at 4. I have Justin Herbert at 3.
Okay.
But those are 2 guys that I did that, to me, they're both at 3 because they are both very good quarterbacks. I like Herbert's long ball a little bit better, and then he can move around just a little bit more. Joe Burrow can move around. He just doesn't, which is fine. You don't have to be a scrambling quarterback. That I know everybody's getting used to seeing that, but you don't have to do that. But Herbert, I feel like he's willing to take off and run a little bit more to extend the plays. So that's why I put him ahead of Burrow.
Well, this is where all of us sort of diverge. I mean, I obviously have Mahomes and Allen 1, 2, right? That's where I've got it.
Mm-hmm.
But I've got Hurts as 3.
Ooh,
Follow me on this one. Follow me on this one. Jalen
Sean
Hurts.
paid him.
Well, yeah, Sean paid him. Well, listen, I've spent my fair share of time downplaying his abilities. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have been one of those guys that's like, nah, but have we really seen it? Nah, but have we really seen it? And last season, he ended as the 4th best quarterback in terms of total QB rating. So, like, I wanted to say no, and I wanted to put Burrow above him. I've got Burrow 4th as well, by the way, Justin, right underneath Hurts. I wanted to put Burrow ahead of him, but I thought to myself, you know, and we talked about it too, Ryan, the AFC's got a ton of quality quarterbacks, a ton of talent, more than the NFC does. But really, the top of the NFC charts is still Jalen Hurts at this point, right? And it's just because the simple fact of the matter is he's been able to do it. He's been able to get it done. He's been able to take his team and not have the most spectacular standout players all around him. AJ Brown is a standout player, but then kind of past that, it's like Devonta Smith is good now too. But I feel like his play alone kind of elevates him. Whereas Burrow had a fantastic running game behind him. He's got so many talented receivers at his disposal, and he doesn't take all of the weight of the offense on his shoulders as much as Hurts does. So that's kind of why I put him above Burrow on that instance. Now, granted, it could come out and prove me wrong, but at this point, I think I'm done downplaying how good Hurts really is.
Yeah, that's fair. This is actually good because we got a little bit of diversity in terms of our list. I thought that we did not, as you could tell, we did not give away our list before the show. So this is we're all finding out each other's lists as we go. So do we want to read like our top 5 then? Since we don't agree as much as maybe we thought going into the show, because before the show we're like, oh, we're all just going to agree 1 through 5, but yeah, there's a little bit of diversity, which is good. We love Moonoff. Shout out to Moonoff.
Covering Mike to JMark's cleavage. Moonoff in the chat. The boss checking up on us, talking about Justin's outstanding. If you're listening to this on the pod, you are missing out. You need to go watch this on YouTube as well. Nick thought that Matt Ryan would be QB1 for the Washington Commanders. Well,
number 1 at CBS.
We're going to see Trevor Lawrence ascend to the stratosphere this season. Hey, Rob, stay tuned because you may actually hear his name come up too. I know that Ryan's a big banner carrier for the Jacksonville Jaguars this season. So, all right, fine. So we covered the first 3. Ryan, you have Mahomes, Allen, and Burrow. Justin, you have Mahomes, Allen, and Herbert, right?
Yep.
And then I have Mahomes, Allen, and Hurts. So who do you have at 4, Ryan?
I got Herbert at 4, and then number 5. I think he had a down year, but the 2 years prior to that, he won back-to-back MVPs. I got Aaron Rodgers at number 5. I know. Hey, he's not in the NFC
where's the
North.
Mute button on him?
He's not in the NFC North anymore, so you don't have to worry about him kicking your ass twice a year. But yeah, it's Aaron Rodgers. I mean, a down year, 26-12. It was, but a lot of distractions there in Green Bay last year. You look at the 2 years before that, 37-4, 48-5, threw for over 4,000 yards the last 4 years. I mean, he was a machine before last year. I'm not going to overreact and dump him outside the 5 or top 5, even though those videos of him at Taylor Swift are questionable.
I'm not gonna downplay how bad he was last year. Most of the distractions were caused by him. He was causing a lot of those distractions. His unwillingness to have patience with rookies and younger players. His darkness retreats. His smoking the ayahuasca, whatever it's called. I think we're seeing the decline of Aaron Rodgers. I think in 2-3 years from now, we're gonna be like, man, he should have hung it up after that second MVP year. Now. Obviously, I have that personal vendetta against Aaron Rodgers. So maybe, much like you, Ryan, maybe I'm trying to speak it into existence. But for me, I couldn't put Rodgers anywhere close to that. I do have Burrow at 4, like I said, and then I have Hurts at 5. I thought he took a tremendous step forward last year. And now I just want to see him to stay there, right? Because they got him the great offensive line. They got him a playmaker like AJ Brown. Now, will he be able to maintain that? Will he be able to continue to be a top performer? So that's what I'm looking for out of Hurts next.
Yeah, and for
Oops.
me, that's what I'm saying. It's like, whoop, hold on. I put that up there now. It went away.
got it.
Munaf says, did Ryan not get the memo that the top 10 power rankings and not the bottom 10 power rankings? I don't think so. Munaf.
Hey, I'm used to watching bad quarterback play. So I mean, average quarterback play. Maybe I was just memorized by it. I was like, hey, he's not too bad. He's 26-12. That's like the best year since Kirk Cousins in Washington's organization.
All right, so I do have Burrow at 4. That's right, but I put Lamar Jackson at 5 because I think that now that all this contract stuff is out of the way, he got what he needed. He's focused again. He gets gets Odell Beckham. Can I put him at 12? No, but listen, there's going to be a renewed focus on the passing game, as we've heard time and time again with this Baltimore Ravens offense. Jackson may be able to show this year that he's going to be able to put passing and running together and not just be part of that triple option offense over there in Baltimore. So I feel like he's in a very good position, maybe better than an Aaron Rodgers, maybe better than some of the other guys we'll talk about here in a second, and even a Justin Herbert. I just feel like those guys are in a position, the Ravens are, to make a lot of noise. And obviously Lamar Jackson's only a couple of years removed from an MVP season, so can't necessarily make him too far down the list and disrespect him all that much, right?
Yeah, he was number 6 for me. So to just transition right in, I had him at 6. Like when I did this, I didn't want to just overreact to 1 year. And you mentioned it, Lamar. Yes, his biggest enemies the last couple of years has been injuries. But when he's been on the field, he's been really good. The Ravens were the ones just a couple of years ago. They were leading the division last year, and then he goes down and the wheels fall off. They can't win a game without him. So his value is in the pudding right there. So I got Lamar at number 6. Hopefully he can stay healthy. And I'm looking forward to seeing how he looks in this new offense. I do have my concerns that can he be that consistent passer, but the talent, the consistency, Lamar's a machine when he's healthy and on the field.
Yeah, he wouldn't have gotten paid if he wasn't. That's for sure. So,
correct. Yep.
All right, let's continue this discussion on the other side. We got to take one more break and tell you about Underdog Fantasy. We're brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Best Ball Mania 4 is here. Underdog is giving away $15 million in prizes, plus plenty of ways to win with NBA, NHL, and MLB. With all of the player props they got going on, head over to UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code SGPN. All right. So, Justin, yeah, we kind of cut you off on that. What's your take on Lamar? And actually, do you have him anywhere near where we have him?
Yeah, no, you're good. I had a feeling. I was looking at the little timer there too. I was like, oh, we better squeeze an ad break in here. Lamar was hard for me to decide where to put him. I had him as high as 6. I dropped him as low as 10. Then I had him at 9. I finally settled on 7. Lamar is a good passer. He can be a good passer. He has some inconsistencies, but he doesn't have a bad arm or anything like that. He doesn't normally make boneheaded mistakes. He just does have some games where he's inconsistent. He's obviously a phenomenal runner, right? So when they say they're going to go to more of this pass happy, I'm like, great, that's going to be good for him because every time he runs, he seems to be getting injured more and more often. But what makes Lamar? It's his really good running ability to break open that game, to rush for 60 yards a game or whatever his average ends up being. It seems like most of the time you can count on him getting more than 50 yards a game. So that kind of concerns me, and that's why he did fall a little bit lower. That's why I dropped him out of that 6th spot. I think he's going to end up running again because that's what Lamar does. But I think we're starting to see an injury pattern. It's happened 2 years in a row now, and I think that's going to become more the norm, unfortunately. It was one of the reasons that it was a really tough decision for them, I'm sure, to pay the guy because he's done a lot for their franchise. He's an elite player when he's on the field, but at the same time, you're spending a lot of money on a guy that he could average missing 4 games per season the rest of his career. So he fell at number 7 for me.
Sweet. All right. Well, then let's see. Where do we go? Who do we go to 6 yet? Have we gone to 6 yet?
So Ryan's 6 was Lamar, right?
Yeah. And then what's your 6?
I'm shocked that I had this guy higher than Ryan did, but my 6 is Trevor Lawrence.
Oh yeah.
This guy was a phenomenal college quarterback. We all know that. Came in his rookie year, and it was like, okay, he's going to be one of those guys that he was great in college, but he just doesn't make that next step. I think last year he showed that's not the case. I think it was a coaching issue. They've added more and more talent around him. He's got Calvin Ridley now, as long as he cannot bet on anybody to win anything, or if he does, at least stay out of NFL facilities. And they've built a great coaching tree around him as well, right? And I think that makes a huge difference, and we saw that last year. And I think last year was just the start for Trevor Lawrence. I think he's just starting to scratch the surface of where he can go in the NFL. And I absolutely agree with Rob. I think that in the chat there when he said we're going to see Trevor Lawrence ascend in the stratosphere this season, he could very easily work his way into the top 5.
I'll let Ryan take this rebuttal because he's the one that's been on Trevor Lawrence since the day we popped this mic open.
Yeah, so my criteria was I wanted to see multiple years of body of work at playing at a high level. So that's why right off the bat, Mahomes has been the best quarterback for 5+ years. Allen and Burrow and Herbert have played at a high level for 3+ years now. And that was my reason with Rodgers and Jackson being 5 and 6. And that got me in as much as I didn't want to do it. Jalen Hurts was 7 for me because he's played at a high level last year and then the second half of the previous year. So I had him at 7. He's really grown as a passer. I didn't think that he was going to be able to transition. And that's why I wasn't as high on the Eagles last year, which I was completely wrong about. And that's why they were able to go, 14-3 and just completely roll through the NFC, was him being able to take those next steps of just being a better passer, more consistent passer. And then I had Trevor Lawrence just because he's only done it for 10 games. Now, if you're going to ask me who could work their way easily into and challenge those top 3 for me or top 4 that we all agree on, it's Trevor Lawrence. Just because of ceiling, Doug Peterson year 2, we saw what happened with Carson Wentz. Everybody that listens to this show knows that the Jaguars are my sleeper to win the Super Bowl. So, and Trevor Lawrence is my sleeper to win the MVP. So, yeah. Top 5 talent. I just want to see it a couple more weeks before I move them up.
Yeah, so I had Herbert at 6. So Herbert was still within that top realm. It's just, again, I tried to put him over any. His situation is not that great. Justin Herbert is still, he's got Keenan Allen, which is the ageless wonder, but we're starting to see that age start to catch up to Keenan Allen, right? The injuries, the age, and it's not even that he's that old. It's just, I don't know what it is. It's just poor Keenan Allen. It's, the what you expected out of him year in and year out. Sometimes you don't get it. And you're like, where, it's like the meme, do something, Keenan Allen. And for that's what I'm saying. His situation is not as good, Herbert's, as some of these other guys that are above him. So it's a little disappointing. And then I had Prescott underneath him at 7. I know people love to hate Dak Prescott. I know, I get it. And it's company policy to hate Dak Prescott, but you forget sometimes that he's still a serviceable. He's still a quarterback 1. He still has the weapons around him. He's still got guys, even though, Zeke is not in the picture anymore. He's still good. Like, and I can't put him below some of the guys that you're talking about, like just outside of the top. I can't put him below a Marcus Mariota, a Derek Carr, a Jimmy Garoppolo, a Justin Fields, right? Kyler Murray. I can't put him below those guys.
You can absolutely put him below Justin Fields. Come on. Do you think Dak Prescott could ever win a Super Bowl? Could he lead his team to the Super Bowl?
No, not even close.
That's why everybody that argues Dak Prescott to me, I'm like, even Cowboys fans, I'm like, do you think he can take you to a Super Bowl? And they're like, well, no. And so it's hard for me to consider him because every guy on my list, I think I see like, oh, I could see that happen. I could see that happening, but Prescott's just not one of them for me. And maybe it has been a little bit of brainwash by the mothership of hearing Sean and Ryan just, tear him apart over and over. But yeah, I couldn't take Prescott seriously in mine. Though I think like my 10th spot when we get to it was kind of just a fun thing. So it's very easily could have been Prescott there, but that's okay.
Well, hey, you both have get plenty of Dak hate because you listen to the mothership and then you hear me. You both do shows with me, so then I'm always shitting on Dallas. But like with the Dak thing, I think it's more than just Dak. The issues in Dallas, I think ownership. Obviously, as long as Jerry is in Jerry's spot, they will never win. But Dallas should have beat San Francisco last year. So if Dak doesn't throw those interceptions, they're moving on to Philly, and then they always play Philly tough. So maybe if the Cowboys get every single break, they could get to a Super Bowl. But I could never see them actually finishing the job, especially with Mike McCarthy as coach.
It's ridiculous. But even still, like I said, it was hard for me to do it, but I still did it. So, all right, let's kill off the list. Let's go down the line, and then we'll actually start talking about some of the betting angles as far as what we're looking at. If we think these top 10 quarterbacks are going to be so good, we'll take a look at the odds, their futures odds, and kind of break them down. So who finishes out your list there, Ryan?
Man, see, this is where it got hard. 9 and 10. I went Captain Kirk, number 9. He's just Mr. Consistency. I know he always chokes on the big stage, kind of like Dak, but I think he's able to elevate his team a little bit more than Dak Prescott. They've had horrible defenses there in Minnesota, and he's kept them in seasons. I mean, they've had a bottom 5 defense multiple years, and Kirk's been able to elevate them. And number 10, this is a controversial one. This is probably the hardest guy to rank because he hasn't played much. I want to rank Tom Brady, but Tom Brady's still retired, so I'll leave off Tom Brady. I'm going to Deshaun Watson. And I know that's a crazy take because he hasn't played really in a year and a half, and everybody hates him off the field. I don't like him as a person, but you can't deny the talent. He was playing at a top 5 level in 2019, 2020, that 3-year sample that I talked about. He finally gets a training camp to get his feet back under him. And I'm actually higher on the Browns than I think the general public. So I'll go to Deshaun Watson with the upside. I couldn't go Dak Prescott. I thought about Tua as well, but I just need to see a little bit more from Tua, and you can't rely on him with his health, unfortunately.
I agree with that on Tua. I really wrestled with him at 10, but you give him one of the better offensive lines in the league. You give him some of the fastest players on the outside. That's going to make a mediocre quarterback look better, right? And then the health stuff. So rattling off mine, 8, Kirk Cousins. I know people are going to kind of scoff at that as high as 8, but it's because he doesn't have flash. He's not a flashy guy, but he's extremely consistent, and he is a good passer despite what people want to say. Number 9, I couldn't help it. I went with my guy, Justin Fields. I think if you look, last year, polls stripped that team of talent for the most part. He came in, he stripped the team. His top receivers were Cole Kmet and Darnell Mooney, excuse me. And he still showed that he was one of the most prolific players in the NFL. I think he's going to take a step forward, having DJ Moore and getting more pieces now, getting more offensive line protection. I think he's going to take another step forward, much like we saw Jalen Hurts do. I'm sure if you've listened to us, you've heard me make that comparison before. I think this is where Fields steps up the passing game. His running ability is off the charts. And number 10, this is probably when people are going to mute me, and that's fine. I think he showed a real excellent ability to lead his team last year, and that's Geno Smith. I know he was a guy that people are like, he's never going to make it after he showed some flashes, as a rookie in his sophomore year. Then he gets cut, bounces around from team to team. But last year, I think Seahawks did so well because of Geno Smith, because they believed in him and he had them believing. And I think that's just as important as your quarterback, as a guy that, is a prolific athlete. So I had to throw him in my top 10.
Hey, and you get no argument out of me. In fact, that was wrestling in my top 10 too. I had Geno Smith somewhere in that vicinity, and I thought I got to put him in, right? Got to put him in. But then, guys like my last 3, Rodgers, Cousins, and Lawrence, those are my, 7, 8, 9, or 9, 8, 9, and 10. And Geno Smith just didn't fit in that mix. Now, granted, honorable mention to the high hell, but for me, it was like I couldn't put Geno over Lawrence, I couldn't put him over Cousins, and I couldn't put him over Rodgers in Rodgers' situation. But
you can drop Rodgers out. It's fine.
I know. And listen, and like I said, it would not surprise me the one bit if Geno does jump to the level of the rest of these guys, because if you look at Geno Smith last year, he did finish as the 7th top quarterback in terms of quarterback rating, total quarterback rating. So he was inside the top 10, which means to me that he could probably make another run at it. Rob says Geno's natural passing ability has always been top 20 since entering the league. Throws a pretty ball. It's always intangible stuff that worked against him. And that's it too, right, Rob? That's what it boils down to. It's what you can see on the field and what happens that doesn't necessarily correlate into stats.
And he went to a great university. He's a Mountaineer. So yeah, I like that top 10 pick. So yeah, though I love the Geno story because it just shows like we give up on these young quarterbacks so quick. I mean, Daniel Jones in New York, like everybody wrote him off. Yeah, he probably got a little bit overpaid this offseason, but it just shows you put a good offensive coordinator, a good head coach, good culture around these guys, and just not give up on them after 10 games. I mean, think about all the people that were giving up on Trevor Lawrence too, just about 6 months ago. And then he shut them up quick. And now all of a sudden we're talking about him having a chance to be a top 5 quarterback. So it's all about how you surround yourself in these organizations. Geno failed in New York early in his career, but then was able to land on his feet in Seattle. He went back up to Eli before that. So just being able to learn, it takes a while to learn these offensive and defensive schemes in the NFL. It's a transition.
Yeah, agreed.
So
very well said.
Very well put.
Go Mountaineers.
So here's the thing. Let's do this. Let's take a look at some of the passing yards stats. I think is where we should kind of camp for this episode as we look at the betting aspect of it. And we'll just start where the books start, right here at the top. Aaron Rodgers. They've got Aaron Rodgers passing total for the regular season set at 4,050.5. The over on this one is juiced at +100. The under is at -120. We know where Justin's money's going. Hammer the under for Justin. Aaron Rodgers at the end of this season, he's going to get stuck in his hookah lounge and not even
yeah, I love Rodgers as much as anybody, but I'm going to go under. In his 2 MVP seasons years before that, he 4,100 and 4,200. So he barely went over that mark. Yes, it was a 16-game season, but he's not the same quarterback he was those 2 years, although I have him still at 5.
One thing, if you guys have listened to Old Fashioned Football, you know we have a little bit of a theory here because Rodgers has already been injured in camp. He's got a calf strain. He's kind of working on that. If he plays more than 65% of the snaps, that draft pick moves from a second to a first. So our theory is he's going to play less than 65%. He'll come back, after sitting out a couple games and lead them on this nice run to go into the playoffs. And because of that reason, I'm going to go under. I think he's going to miss it a couple games due to injury.
Well, and then look at it just in total. All of the Jets quarterbacks last season, whether it was Wilson, Flacco, or White, they only had 4,040 yards between all of them. So this line is kind of set all sorts of wonky, but I'm definitely taking the under as well. It's just I get it. I know Rodgers is transcendent, but I don't know if all those quarterbacks in New York couldn't get there. Is anyone else jealous that Rodgers is going to be dating Taylor Swift? I don't know.
No.
Fernando Alonso, maybe.
Happily married. Thanks, Dick.
Yeah. I don't know about you. I'm tired of hearing about Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I mean, Fernando
She's
Alonso
everywhere.
was supposed to be dating Taylor Swift here pretty soon. So
Yeah.
I don't see that happening. All right, let's take a look at Lamar Jackson. His passing total is set at 36.25.5. The over on this one is at the plus side of this at +105. The under is at -125. Do we think Lamar Jackson in the pass happy scheme is going to get over 3,600 yards?
3,600. I'm looking at the chat too. You said 3,600 yards for Lamar?
36.25 for Lamar.
In his career, to put this in perspective, his career high, his MVP year was 3,100. He's been under 2,800 every single year. And yes, you probably say he was injured 2 of those years. What it makes you think he's not going to miss a couple games? He's not getting any younger. He's only getting older. Yes, they want to pass more. you'd be crazy to take the over on this. I'm going hammer the under here for me.
100% agreed. I like Todd Monken. I think he's going to run a really good offense for them, but I think he's also going to utilize their strengths, which is the offensive line run blocks very well, and Lamar can run very well. So, yeah, give me the under as well.
I mean, and it's only juiced at -125. That to me is that's not a lot. That's not a lot of juice to pay for a future under, which I believe is going to hit. So there's your edge, double down, I believe, for all three of us, right? Double down on this under for Lamar, 36.25 at -125, because that one's going to pay off for you. And if you get edge boost, you don't got to even pay for it right now. So just place that bet, use part of your $2,500 and get there and be happy with yourself later in life. All right, let's talk about Josh Allen.
Man.
Yeah, you know, I read the memos. I get what we got to do for this as well. All right, Josh Allen, his total set at 4,350.5 yards. The over at -105, the under at -115. Any interest in Josh Allen's total, either over or under?
I will go over for Josh Allen. The 2 years prior to this, he went over. He went under last year, but if you remember the DeMar Hamlin situation, he was 83. He missed it. He missed an extra game. I expect a big bounce back here. I know it's crazy to say bounce back for a guy that threw for almost 4,300 yards and 35 touchdowns. Year two of that scheme, post Brian Dable. I think Josh Allen is a big year. I'll go over.
Yeah, I agree. Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, and potentially DeAndre Hopkins. Yeah, I'm definitely taking the over here.
Well, and then you look at it too. I mean, even in seasons where he didn't play 17 games, right? I mean, we still have that extra game in the schedule. 4,500 yards in that 2020 season. It's well within his reach. I have a feeling that he's going to get it this year. Like you said, he was very close, minus down one game. I think he could have got there. So, yeah, give me the over on this one as well. Plus, I like that the over is still only -105. And I think the books are sort of tempting you to go that route, but I think it's a good route to go because I think it's going to hit. All right, let's talk about Geno Smith. His number set at 3,900.5. The over is at -105. The under is at 115. I mean, can Geno Smith be a close to 4,000 yard passer in this league?
This is probably one of the harder ones to handicap because you only really have 1 year sample size. You threw for 4,282 last year, but you add the slot receiver from Ohio State, Smith Najiba. I always butcher his name, but I mean, you pair him with Metcalf, Lockett. Their schedule's a little harder because they finished second in the division, but I think if Seattle's going to be in that race with San Francisco, I'll go over here for Geno to make it back-to-back, and it's not a one-hit wonder for Geno.
So I saw this pronunciation guide thing that was allegedly from the actual NFL draft, and they said it was Njigba. So I was Njigba. Yeah, I whether that's right or wrong, I don't know. But
he's good. That's what I could tell you about him.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I think Geno keeps rolling. Obviously, I put him in my top 10 for a reason. I think he's going to utilize Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. JSN is just much easier to say for me. And I think this team is set up to have some success. We already kind of talked about it, that we think they could push the 49ers. Do they get past them? I don't know, but they would definitely will push the 49ers in that division. And even though they're going to run the ball a lot, I still think Geno's going to get his.
Hey, and they've let him air it out. That's the thing. I mean, they talked about letting Russ cook all those years, right? And who knew that the chef needed to be Geno Smith in order for Russ to cook? And so that's, to me, when you turn Geno Smith loose and he does 4,000 yards for you, I think he can do it again this year. Now that he's comfortable, now that he got paid too, right? I mean, he's there for the foreseeable future, and they have faith in him. So I think 4,000 yards is well within his realm. 39.01 for sure, I think, is in the realm of possibility for Geno Smith. Talk about Jalen Hurts. His number set at 37.50.5. The under set at -105. The over at -115. Is 3,800 yards doable for Jalen Hurts? We already know Ryan's not necessarily all that thrilled about Jalen Hurts, but do you think he can get up to 3,800 yards? Or what was the number at again? 3,750. So 3,751. Last year, 3,701.
I will go under for Hurts. He was 3,700 in an MVP year. So I think that was his ceiling last year. It's hard to see him going higher than that. Yes, he missed a couple games of injury, but there's a chance that the Eagles could rest their guys in that week 17 or week 18 game now if they have things locked up once again. So I'll go under just banking on, I don't want to say banking on an injury, but he does, like Lamar, run a lot, and he takes some hits. So, I mean, we all see the quarterback sneaks and how effective they are. That those hits add up. We saw with Cam Newton over the years. So I'll go under for Hurts. I'm not saying he's going to have a bad year. I just don't think he will be as good as he was last year.
I'm going to play contrarian to that a little bit. I think losing Miles Sanders changes this offense more than people realize. I know they use Boston Scott, they use Kenneth Gainwell, and they have DeAndre Swift. I just don't think those guys are as equipped to bang it out play after play like Miles Sanders was. So I think they're going to throw the ball more, whether that be to Brown, to Smith, to Goddard, or even to DeAndre Swift, who is good catching out of the backfield. So I like the over on this one. I think he's going to keep passing. And again, that's if he stays healthy, of course, but I'm going to bank on him staying healthy and to hit the over.
Yeah, it will be interesting though, because again, the Eagles, they just need that extra, and everybody needs that extra to get over the Chiefs right now. It's everybody's chasing the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Oh, Nick and Ryan agree. Nick and they're talking about agreeing with Ryan. That's probably a first for those guys.
Yeah, we don't agree on Matt Ryan.
But yeah, so again, with Jalen Hurts, like I said, I'm done downplaying how good he is. So I think I may take the over on this one as well, just in case something crazy happens. And of course, it is the least juice side of it. Let's see. Anybody else of interest? Dak Prescott, 4,100. Any
Did we
interest
skip Mahomes? Did I miss that?
We haven't gotten to Mahomes yet. Patrick Mahomes,
Okay.
4,800.5. The over is at -105. The under is at -115. I think that's probably the last one we should go over, because really this is the more important one that people are going to be putting money on, right?
Yeah. Man, is this a trap?
They're all
trap.
They're all
traps.
Last 2 years he's over that number, 5,250 last year. Oh man, and then in 15 games he almost reached that in 2020. I'll go over, but I feel like that's such a public play, and yeah, for that reason I'll go under. They're going to rest him in week 18, and he's going to miss it by 10 yards.
Ooh, spicy.
I agree. It really feels like a trap, but it's Patrick Mahomes. I mean, we've seen him have success no matter who his wide receivers are, right? And so I think he's going to continue to do that. He's going to continue to make those ridiculous throws that we all are kind of in awe. Sometimes you lose the fact that you're kind of seeing history. We watch these old clips of these legendary players and we think, oh man, it would have been great to see that, on TV or whatever. We're watching that now. And sometimes you don't realize that when you're sitting down on Sunday, but that is Patrick Mahomes. I feel like he's going to be in highlights 40 years from now. And people are going to go, oh my God, I wish I could have seen him play.
I wish Bieniemy had brought him over. That would have been nice.
Yeah. I bet you do.
Maybe we'd be singing a different story if that were it. Who knows?
Oh, yeah, we wouldn't be talking about the Eagles as the favorite.
Patrick Mahomes, I'm going to go the over on this one as well. In those 3 seasons, yeah, it's a trap. Yeah, it's probably just something too good to be true. But dude's been on the field 5,200 yards. It's hard to fall that far down from a season like that to not at least get close to 5,000 yards. So as much of a trap as it is, I think I'm going to hit the over on this one. And it's still only -105. I mean, so close to even money. Why would you not want to do that just grab yourself your edge money. Use that again. I'm going to push that one more time because you don't have to think about spending your money right this instant if you think that it's going to happen like I do. Yeah. So, all right. Well, gentlemen, I feel like we've done enough damage for today. We've given some very good plays. We've ranked our quarterbacks, and we can send everybody out on their way feeling good about the upcoming season. Yeah.
Yep, no doubt. And yeah, since I ranked Deshaun Watson in my top 10, I'm going to go get a massage now. So see you guys.
Well, behave yourself. I'm the only one that put my quarterback in my top 10 list. So either that means I'm way overvaluing him, or you guys just don't have a lot of faith in yours. I know, Rod, you don't even know who yours is.
I don't know who mine is. It could be Jacoby.
I can't put Sam Darnold in there. There's no way in God's green earth I can put Sam Darnold in the top 10. Now,
if we put Heineke in.
Talking about Moonoff in the bottom 10, sure, I could put him there, but I can't put him in the top 10. No, thank you. Now, if it's Brock Purdy, if we did top 11, maybe I'd do that, but yeah.
Rod and I should have put our former quarterbacks, Jimmy G and Taylor Heineke.
There you go.
Loyalty.
Loyalty.
All right. Well, gentlemen, as we wrap up the show, as we always do, why don't we give everybody a chance to find us on social media and follow along with our work as we go about our days?
Yep. Twitter for the YouTube crowd watching. It's right there at Moneyline_Mac. And we are what now? I think exactly 3 months from college football starting. And then that means 1 week after that, we'll get Chiefs, Lions. It'll be here before we know it. I'm tired of talking about power rankings. I'm ready to talk some divisions and games.
There you go. First of all, quick shout out. So I don't know how I'm arranged on your guys' screen, but Ryan's right here on mine. Does awesome college basketball stuff. Make sure you check that out. This guy does awesome NASCAR stuff. Make sure you check that out. I'm a listener of both shows and thoroughly enjoy. You can follow me on Twitter at JMark Football. You see all my stuff there. I try to post everything. I've been a little not posting as well recently because it is getting to the summer months and there's a lot of outside stuff and keeping up with life, but I try to post everything there. So check me out at JMark Football.
Yep. Justin's going to start putting pictures of his garden up there. So make sure you follow along with it.
There you go.
We want to see it as it progresses throughout the summer. Yes. Follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Link in the bio to everything I got going on. Whether it is here, whether it is the NASCAR Gambling Podcast, the F1 Gambling Podcast, In Between Media. Got some stuff coming out for frequency's sake this week as well. You can find it all on my Twitter, link in the profile for that. All right, we'll be back again next week as a trio. Of course, the NFL Gambling Podcast will be back later this week with, I believe it's Terrell and Scott. Yep. To break down some more stuff for you guys, but we will be back as a trio next week. So until then, everybody, have some fun and let it ride.